we're able to use the things that we're familiar with. Going back to the use of Britney Spears and NSYNC in our first post, we were able to pull examples from Ferris Bueller was a movie that we all knew, and we could have picked a movie that we had never seen or heard of before and tried to research it, but picking something that we're familiar with, it really helps in a really big way, especially for other people reading our posts. I feel like they're able to more effectively understand what we're trying to get across by using things that not only we know, but they know as well.
They were able to connect with it and understand it a lot more.
And we were even able, because of stuff that we learned in class, we were able to like pull out things from Ferris Bueller, like the cars.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I would never have noticed, like, oh, our cars were big and flashy, but it's still kind of, they had a car and the same idea that car is a status symbol no matter where you go.
I think using stuff that we have lived through just works so much better, because if we try to compare using Elvis, like we know who everybody knows who Elvis is, everybody knows like a general idea, but we didn't live through that phenomenon.
Really know about
we don't know what it was like to be there and to see what it was like. But Britney Spears and NSYNC, that was our childhood, like.
And being able to compare that, I feel like trying to look up stuff in the Czech Republic from the 90s, like, is so hard to do because they didn't have that. So, like, comparing us to them, like, we had pop music and craziness, and, like, I couldn't find, like, anything comparing our pop culture music to
their pop
to their anything.
Well, our pop culture is kind of their pop culture. Like, if their radio stations play our music, they watch our TV shows.
So and then there's also that like centralized.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That would definitely be a value.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was just saying, like, even though like Czech Republic plays a lot of our songs, you could see somebody posted the top 10 iTunes songs, and there was still at least half of them were like
they were
Czech based or that regional based. So they do have a sense of identity. But then they're also adapting to another. And I feel like that kind of goes off of like,
I was going to say,
it could be the downside,
So how is the downside? That they have their own identity?
People know that they're
Are they losing
more,
their identity?
Like, they're losing their identity.
So that
I feel like that might blur some lines.
Because of our technology and advancements, other countries are adapting to us instead of adapting to their own.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
We actually don't have the highest technology though. Our technology isn't the best though.
So
it goes off of like
culture, maybe.
Yeah.
Some people would feel that there probably.
So that other countries are losing their own culture because
they're adapting to ours.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really interesting though, because the value of being able to easily compare them to us because they're becoming more in common then becomes a downside when we kind of want to be able to contrast too.
Yeah.
And we kind of lose that opportunity sometimes. Especially with the Czech Republic, I feel like the more they become westernized, the harder it's going to be able to contrast.
Yeah.
Comparing might be easier, but I mean, contrasting is, only a part of a comparison, so.
a lot of our posts were about comparing rather than contrasting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I feel like we were able to find a lot more similarities than we were differences.
Differences,
But also because we don't know what the differences are like over there. I'm sure if we were over there and we dealt with it firsthand. Like when you go, you'll be able to be like, well, now I found a difference.
Yeah. Plus, I think right now there's a huge generational divide, because there's the people that lived through communism, know what it's like, but then there's the people that were born our age that don't know anything, that kind of just like they're transitioning, and their children are going to just probably be like us in a way. That it's going to be like all westernized, all commercialism, music, that type of thing, and be less about the communist values that had existed.
I was going to say, I feel like, on a different note, a downside would be our knowledge of our history compared to their knowledge of history. That's a huge
how we connect
point.
to our roots. So many European countries are deeply connected with the roots. The ancient, or not ancient, but like, what am I trying to say?
Like even like Chinese or Japanese.
Yeah, I mean their heritage. There's dance, there's music. They keep in touch with food traditions that we don't have. American traditions that our grandparents,
but our traditions are all influenced from other cultures.
That's true. I mean, we're not really we're a pretty new country when you think about it.
Yeah.
True.
We're Puritan. Like, they came over and established it from another country.
Yeah.
This didn't have roots like other countries have to go off of. The Czech Republic story is really, it's kind of involved and complicated. And
Mhm.
if you live there and don't know what happened, then, you know, I feel like that's unheard
You
of.
don't know anything.
Here, I
Yeah.
feel like it's a lot easier
Yeah.
to check out and
Yeah.
to not, not
Don't be
know all
involved
that
with
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really true.
I don't know dates of wars.
No,
That's so
not at all.
embarrassing.
That it's the most embarrassing thing ever.
I don't know it. And I talk to my friends and they don't know it either. It's
Mhm.
like, oh.
Because what does it have to do with us?
Yeah.
But
We didn't
over
fight
there,
on it.
like,
Yeah. We can tell you
everything's
the Iraqi
related.
war though.
Yeah. Right.
Sort of.
But
Sort of.
it's even like I could say like I don't know anything like Cold War. Nope.
No.
Anything
Because
that
we
happened.
don't face any
I was
direct
born- yeah.
consequences.
Yeah.
you
I was
know?
born the year
Yeah.
the Berlin Wall came down, and I couldn't tell you much of anything else about it. And I think in Czech Republic, it's just like, you know
You're
it.
faced every day with consequences of
Yeah.
those wars and
Yeah.
the
It's just-
evolutions
it's like-
of it.
It's
And
their knowledge base.
Not necessarily
Mhm.
bad consequences, just
Right.
Well,
It's
if you
just a
look at-
restriction,
Yeah.
if anything. It just restricts us a bit. And I feel like we get by in other ways, which is why we even have the avenues that we used. That we try to, work to our strengths.
well. Also, didn't he say like they go to church not because
They believe in
of
God.
religion? It's because of it's just
The thing to do.
a value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a like tradition in a way. So it's how you see
Like your
things too.
citizenry.
It's them connecting with history there.
Yeah.
Do we have anything like that for America? I feel like it's September 11th now, but it's not even like a national holiday. We don't even.
It will be eventually,
You
probably,
think so?
but
I think so.
What? 9/11?
it's already turned into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's starting to, like, especially during, like, going back to first semester when we were doing Mackenzie's reading and everything, comparing, like, NFL and soccer and
hmm
our sports and whatnot. Like, we value America in a certain way, but it's all through sports and just showing off our flag kind of thing,
hmm
where they value it true to their heart and it doesn't need to be,
We fought.
Commercialized,
We
yeah.
fought to be
Yeah,
where
show
we
that
are right
anybody.
now.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Just like they're fighting over there now for tuition and whatever that has evolved into. It's kind of like there's that pride. Like we're here because of this.
Yeah.
They actually have, like, moral values and, like,
And they're gonna do something about it if they're not met. Whereas
Yeah.
over here we just say, all right,
Yeah,
well, it is what it is.
We're here because some guy signed
Yeah.
a paper.
In Europe, they'll riot over it. You know, like
Yeah.
at the drop of a hat, they don't like it.
And I think it's starting here though with Occupy Wall Street
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
stuff
we're
like that.
starting
Well,
to
watch
It's
them
starting.
change, hopefully.
Slowly.
We're making comparisons.
yeah.
And we're not even trying to.
No, that's a contrasting. Like they're fighting for what they want and we're not, and they're more
Yeah.
loyal to their heritage and we're not. That's a contrast.
Because we don't, I feel like we don't have a heritage.
Yeah, there's
Like-
so
Our
many
heritage
Like,
is
I
just
felt
so
like
My
mixed.
grandparents celebrated like
Yeah, I was
they
gonna
do.
say, like,
my
I-
grandparents and their grandparents.
I'm from two different backgrounds. So my
Yeah.
grandparents on one side completely celebrate something differently than on the other side.
Yeah, and you identify with two other
Yeah.
places, and I think that's how like a lot of Americans are. You, if you're Italian, you identify with Italy. Like
Yeah.
you identify with other Italians. Like where I'm from, there's a lot of Syrians, and they brought all the values, all the traditions over here with them.
yeah.
And it's just like a little community that you value Syrian ideals. You do that. You don't really mold into a basic American view. Like there isn't a general American view of
Yeah, because
the
it's
way
like,
of things.
all of us in this room can say we're American, but when it comes down to my roots, I could say that I'm Irish, but I don't know my Irish roots.
Yeah.
Like, I
I
can't
know nothing about
go
it.
back to anybody
Practicing
coming
Irish.
over on the boat. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
yeah. I'm like Pennsylvania Dutch. We do this like
You eat pork and sauerkraut.
yeah. We eat
Like,
pork and sauerkraut on
that's
New
funny.
Year's.
That's how we define, like, our different heritages over
Well, it's
here.
funny because I'm half Israeli. So
Mhm.
my mom is white and then my dad is Israeli. So people always ask me, so they'll be like, what are you? I'm like, half Israeli. And then what's your other half? I'm like, white.
Yeah,
But they're like, well, what kind of white?
a
I'm like,
mix
well,
of everything.
we really want to go
Yeah,
back,
right.
Austrian, Russian, Hungarian,
Mhm.
like Eastern European, but that's way back.
Yeah.
It was just funny.
So I think it's okay to say that there really is never, like, a true set comparison with how everything is evolving so fastly, and they're trying to keep up with us, like
And
the
we're
Czech
trying to
Republic,
keep-
and we're trying
Stay
to
ahead.
we're trying to stay ahead, but at the same time, we're losing so many values and we're making them lose values.
Yeah.
So I think overall, it's kind of the whole situation of comparing came into a downside to see like our knowledge and their knowledges.
Yeah, there's definitely no right or wrong way, and I feel like the reason why we even like that we're having this discussion is to kind of say like what's the best way, and you know people are going to have different opinions, and all the groups are going to say different things, I'm sure. But I mean, I think the way that we found works the best for us is as far as being able to, at the end of the day, take something away from it and be able to look at everything that we do on a daily basis and be able to, you know, one day kind of pass that along, kind of say like, this is how I see it. I think that's the most important thing that I can take away from this anyway.